Alright, hello everyone. I'm going to be running through the solution for practical 1. Okay, so after this practical, these are your outcomes you should be able to do. You can go through that on your own. So let's see what we need to do. So the first instruction that we have is create a new project called UXXXX, where this would be your student number underscore practical 1. Right, so I'm just going to do that. So come over here, new project, in case you forgot it. Make sure you select Visual C#, Windows Forms application. That's the type of application you need to select. If you select the wrong application, you're going to have a problem. So let's go Please note you should type in your student number there, practical 1, and I'm just going to add on solution. Okay. Now once you click OK, it's going to take a little bit of time, so just be a little patient. I'm sure many of you have struggled with this, where you just sit and wait with Visual Studio. Patience is an important aspect of this course. Okay, now we have our project created. Let's see what the next instruction says. Create the graphical user interface as shown in the next slide. Just going to look at it. So we have a label and a button. Let's see, add a label and name it LBL Hello. Let's do that. Label. And I'm going to go to its name property. Please, in case you've forgotten, if you click here, it will sort the properties into alphabetical order so it's easier for you to find. Now I'm going to name it LBL Hello. Let's go to the next instruction. The label's text should say Hello World. So now we're going to go to the text property. Please note I'm still selected on my label, and I can see I'm in my labels properties. Go to the text property and make this Hello World. Okay. Let's see what the next instruction says. Change the label's font as shown on the next slide. So you can see you find font, and that's how you change it. So let's find the property called font. Here it is here. If I click here, you can see these 3 little dots. When I click that, it'll open up the window that allows me to select the font. Here's the font. Now the font I'm going to use is Elephant, Italic Bold, and size 22. You can really use anything you like, it doesn't matter. That's just what I chose to use. Okay, I'm going to make my form a little bit bigger so I've got some space. Got my label. Let's see what the next instruction says. Set the label's visible property to false. So again, make sure I've got my label selected. I'm going to look for a property called visible. There it is there. Now all I got to do is set it to false. The next instruction says add a button and name it BTN Hello. So I'm going to look for a button, add it on, and I'm going to name this button BTN Hello. Back to my instructions, set the button's text to say hello. So I'm going to click on my button so I know I'm in that property and look for text. And there it is. I'm going to set this to say hello. Alright. Okay, when the button is clicked, the label should become visible. How do we do that? So I'm going to scroll down. Here's the code. Double click on the button to open up that button's event handler. So I'm going to double click on it. And as you can see, I've created an event handler. Please note it says here BTN Hello click. That means I'm in the event handler for the button named BTN Hello, and I'm in its click event handler. So this is what should happen when that button is clicked. Now what I want to do is I want to set LBL Hello visible property to true. So LBL Hello that visible is equal to true. But there's one other part that I want to make sure is true before that happens. I'm going to make sure that its text says hello world. You'll see in part 2 why we do this. As usual, end off with a semicolon. Let's go back to our instructions. Okay, you can see I've done what I needed to. You'll note I did it in a different order, doesn't really matter. Now we're going to run it and make sure that it works. Click the start button to make sure it just get it running, or you can press F5, your choice. Now we just wait while it all loads, and there it is. Now when I click the button, Hello World pops up, and that's what your first part of your practical needs to do. Now I'm going to move on to part 2. Extend your program by adding a new label called LBL name, a text box called TXT name, and a button called BTN name, as shown on the next slide. So let's start off by adding the controls. So we need a label, and we're going to name this label LBL name. Then we need a text box, and we're going to name this text box TXT name. And then a button called BTN name. And it says as shown on the next slide, so let's see what the next slide looks like. Okay, so this is when it's not running, and this is when it actually is running. If you're ever confused, you notice your buttons on the top look slightly different when it's running. So let's set it up to look like this. First thing, our label's text property should say name. So let's go to the text property and set it to name. And let's just line them up nicely. And then our button's text property should be say hello to someone. And there we go. You can see it looks somewhat similar. Now let's see what the next instruction says. A name should be typed into the text box, and when the button is clicked, the label called LBL hello should change to say hello to the name typed in the text box. So let's scroll down and see. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is double click on this to create its event handler. Notice again, BTN name click. That's the event handler we're in. Now what do we need to do? First of all, we need to make sure that LBL hello is visible when this button is clicked. The next thing we need to do is we need to make LBL's hello text say hello to someone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in hello in inverted commas, because that's text, plus whatever is typed into the text box. Text. Okay. Now we're going to test it and see that it works. So I'm going to type my name in here, and it works. So let's move on to the next part of the practical. Extend your program once again and add a picture box called PBX hello to the form. Alright, let's go back, add our picture box. And we're going to call this PBX hello. So its name property is going to be PBX hello. The next part, download the practical images from ClickUp. There are no practical images on ClickUp, which is why we said you can use any image. So now what we need to happen is when the button hello is clicked, we need to show one picture, and when button name is clicked, we want to show a different picture. So here's how it's supposed to look. So how do we do this? If you can't go to the code, you can right click here and click view code. It will take you to the code. Now when button hello is clicked, we want to display one picture. So PBX hello, that image location is equal to. Now where do I get the image location from? I'm going to open up where I have my picture saved. I'm going to use this image for BTN hello. I'm going to go to properties, and I can see here I have the location. So I'm going to copy the location first, paste it in here. Now you notice you'll get some errors. That's because you need to ensure that you use double slashes, because backslashes are used for special characters within C#. Okay, I'm adding on 2 backslashes at the end because I also need to copy the name of the file. I need to take note of the file extension. Now you'll notice here it's .jpg. So I'm going to go back, paste the name, and add on .jpg here. I'm going to do the same thing for btn name click. pbx hello .image location is equal to, I'm going to close this because I'm using a different image for this, for btn name. We've got properties of the second image. Copy and paste the location. I'm going to add my double slashes. And at the end as well. Next, I need the name of the image, and you'll notice again my one is JPG, so I'm going to add on .jpg at the end. And as usual, end off with a semicolon. Now let's run it and see that it works. And you'll notice the image does not seem to fit correctly. Simple fix to that is that you go to your picture box's properties and you search for size mode. When you find size mode, you set that to stretch image. And if we try this again, you can see that the image now fits into the picture box. And there you have it. That's your first practical. Good luck.